Welcome on behalf of DSCA to the beautiful Sarasota Garden Club. If you haven't been here, they went through quite a renovation recently, and it's just beautiful. So we're happy to host this year. Again, I'm David Lough. I'm president of DSCA. Today, what to expect. We're going to first hear from Police Chief Touche regarding some really exciting news about the vehicle I hope a lot of you got a chance to tour or look at, followed by our members' annual meeting, and then our organizing meeting for the election of the Board of Directors, and then some wine, and we have a guitarist down there, so we hope you can stick around after the meeting for that. A little fun on a beautiful day. I would like to introduce Chief Touche, who has now been Chief of Police in our city for just over 3 years, I believe. I've gotten to know Rex, if I may call him that, decently well, and I'd like to feel that DSCA has forged an even closer relationship with the police, and it's really been a great experience getting to know him. If you know some of his history, he came up through the ranks, so to speak, in the police department, and my understanding is held a number of different positions across the departments, and I think it's served him well, including his community policing advocacy, which has been admirable. Today he's going to speak with us about some of the tech side or some of the exciting things the police department is doing. So it's a really pleasure, and I know how busy you are, and thank you so much for having the vehicle here. I know you had some resources in your team to be here, so without further ado, Chief Touche.
Okay, can you hear me? Because over here it isn't that great, so I just want to make sure. Okay, so thank you, David. Dave, thanks for all you do. David's like the lowest paid city employee. Give yourself a raise. You put in so much time and effort in what you do, as I know a lot of people here do and have done for so many years, because I recognize some faces in here. So thank you very much. As David said, I did come up through the ranks. I've been here 23 years. Danny in the back and I were officers 22 and a half years ago, working the street together. Tommy too in the background there. And I remember when these streets used to roll up at 3 o'clock. Like at 3 o'clock in the morning, there was nobody out there. That's not the case anymore. That's changed. This is 24/7 in place. So real quick too on my education, some people have asked, I do have a master's degree in emergency management from St. Leo University, and I have a mini MBA from Rutgers University as well. I figured if I'm going to run a $45 million business, essentially, I probably should know about numbers, right? And finance and debt and revenue streams and how we can do that for the city. So, okay, without further ado, how many of you guys like the rock out there? Or the local command center? Nice, right? So, we've come from a lawn care trailer, which was probably 17 feet. We'd all be smashed in there. We tried to put lipstick on it. We tried to make it nice. We tried to put printers in there. We had to spray it for termites because the termites were eating through the floor. And it was not, to me, it did not represent the city of Sarasota. It didn't. When we went to a critical incident, we had an active shooter a few years ago out in Lido, and we went to that incident with a lawn trailer. I mean, the technology was out there that we could leverage, and it was about time. So I said, hey, how about a mini command center? And I was told, good luck. That's what I was told. So I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. We did more analysis on it. We did more cost on it. We put it forward, and they eventually told me, hey, you know that analysis you did on the mini command center? I said, yes, sir. Dust it off, present it, and we got it through ARPA money. So that's some good ARPA money put to use, about $800,000. We were able to use about another $150,000 of drug money, and basically came up with about a $1.1 million mini command center. So the good thing about the mini command center, as you can see, we have an area in here where all the bosses can meet. When we're in there, when the crisis negotiating unit is negotiating with someone, we now can hear it in real time. We are now listening to that phone conversation. And now we're able to make decisions even before they come and brief us on what's going on. The other thing you'll see in there is you'll see all the monitors. Well, because of body-worn camera, we're able now to see what the SWAT members see when they're going into these homes or these apartments in real time. It used to be they would have to describe to us the best they could as they're out of breath with all their gear, and we would then paint a picture in our head, but we all know how that works, right? I might be painting something totally different. Now we can see it in actual 4K high def in real time and make those decisions. And then there's a pole camera that goes up, I want to say it goes up about 30 feet, where we've had that thing where we could see almost through windows at SMH from the police department. That's how crystal clear this is. So I just want you to know that your money, ARPA money, government money, we all paid into it, is going to a good place, and we're going to utilize this thing to the best of its ability. Okay, so real-time operations center. I don't know how many people have heard of a real-time operations center, but this is a game changer in our business. This is not something new to law enforcement. This has been going on out west. They've perfected it, and now it's here. So now what we can do is, we have 4 crime analysts that are in, this is not, we need the extended version. Okay, so we have 4 crime analysts that are in this center, and that is a true rendering of what our operations center will look like in 2 months. But what they're able to do is they're able to see things in real time and leverage the cameras that we already have throughout the city. So as everybody knows, we have open source cameras throughout the city. We have FDOT, we have city cameras, we have Red Speed, we have flock, we have license plate readers, which are LPRs. And really what this does is, this helps us from an officer safety standpoint as well, to ensure that our officers have overwatch as they're going to these calls for service. Maybe I'll stay on this side of the room closer. You got me? Ah, sweet. Okay, so the overview, the ROC will leverage technology to assist patrol officers and the real-time monitoring of critical infrastructures in public areas. So what's nice about this is now we have people in a room that are constantly scanning the cameras throughout the city. So now we can actually see things, not only just real-time, but almost predictive, where we can see things before they happen because we can see people gathering that probably shouldn't be gathering in certain areas because maybe that business is closed at that time. All right, so we have the analysis. They're going to monitor emergency high-priority calls for service. They're going to provide immediate intelligence for the officers on scene. They're going to be searching for fleeing suspects using LPRs and FDOT cameras. So what we're seeing is that the analysts in the real-time crime center can gather information, give that information to the officers on scene. Hey, that person's in a shed, hiding behind the shed. Okay, it's dark out. Hey, we're getting a heat signature through our FLIR system. That person is in the shed for sure, 100%. So that's what they're like a backup officer that's in there instantly. We also have a Raven system that's being put up as well. They call them cams. There's 65 cams that are being put out throughout the entire city. And what that's going to be able to do is, if we have a gunshot go off, officers in that geofence, in that immediate area, even if they can't hear it, are going to be notified, we just had a shot fired at this location. Within 100 feet, we'll know within 100 feet of that shot being fired. It will also play to the officer's phone, which we give them, the sound of that shot being fired. And why is that good? Is because there's a big difference between a semi-automatic shot being fired and automatic. So now it tells them what they're going to. That's a game changer for us. The other thing that Raven will be doing for us is that they're creating the system so if there's a crash, it will be able to detect a crash in that area and alert us if there's been a car accident. So then again, we can start sending people out before we even receive a call for service. That's how amazing this system is. I would say maybe down the road, maybe this is used for noise meter purposes. The legislation hasn't changed yet. It hasn't changed yet, but it could at some point. And I know that noise is a big issue as well. These things would enhance our ability to determine that by decibel levels immensely. So again, like I said, we have 4 full-time people in there now. I'm going to ask for a few more bodies in the real-time operations center. It is operational 5 days a week. I wanted it to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but we wanted to prove that it worked, and it's working. And I'll show you here why it's working here in a second. Just want to make sure there was another slide before that one. No, we're good, okay. So, how many people went to New Year's? Okay, yeah, downtown. A lot of people. Well, I don't know if you know this, but we had drones flying over the footprint the entire time as Overwatch. So we were able to, if there was an issue, a missing child, if there was someone with a firearm, we would have been able to detect that person. And just added, not only do we have drones in there, and you can see this is an active shot right here, but we have what we call Overwatch, and we do have SWAT members on top of buildings downtown, just in case there is an active shooter. And we also have people undercover downtown, just in case there's an active shooter. And we also have mini SWAT teams riding around the footprint in little steroided out golf carts. We call them QRFs, Quick Reaction Force, that has AR-15s to come in should there be an active shooter or some type of challenge like that. And the reason I tell you all that is because I want you to know that we're doing everything we can in our power to ensure safety. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in. 20 years ago, we did New Year's Eve with 17 officers, okay? Now it's 140 officers. I have to reach out to other agencies to help us. That's how big of an event it is now, and that's how the game of safety has changed. Here's an arrest being made. This is a real arrest being made. Officers obviously are in the back. Back in the day, a felony style arrest like this would be made where officers would have to at some point expose themselves. Well, now this is a drone flying in front of that gentleman right there, making sure that there's no firearms or weapons on his person. So the way we do our felony traffic stops have changed immensely. In fact, our felony traffic stops, like if this was a car, we would send the drone up to the car, through the car. The drone would hover over the windshield, make sure that the person didn't have any firearms. We'd call the person out, take them into custody. We'd fly the drone through the car again to make sure there was no personnel in there, and then we would come up to the car. That's how much drones have changed the game for us. I'll let this one speak for itself. This is a K9 officer with body-worn camera looking for a suspect. So the K9 officer, the dog, they didn't know that the gentleman was behind the fence hiding, but the dog did. The dog could smell. So that dog jumps over a 6-foot fence, puts a bite on him, and they get him in custody. So again, I show you this because that's real body-worn camera footage that we're seeing in a command center, and we can make decisions based on what's actually happening instead of those officers having to think, oh, let me tell these guys what's going on. Instead, they can just do their job and we can see what's going on. Okay, so analytical program, the process of combating the data from different sources and merging data sets from various systems. Long story short, what that means is we're able to plug into all these systems in the real-time operations center, Akron, pawn records, Florida birth certificates. We have analysts working all this while a crime is going on and we're gathering information on who the bad guy is. We're able to start having these analysts plug this information in to give us more information about that bad guy, where they live, where they were last week. If they pawned an item, we can then research that in the pawn system and say, hey, this isn't on their address, but they pawned this item and they said their address was here. Well, guess what? It's a block north of where you're at right now. Chances are that's probably where that person's gonna run. These are the things that are going on. And the real-time operations center is not even up and running yet, really not officially, and it's been very successful. Okay, flock safety, these are our license plate readers. We have them strategically placed throughout the city. If a stolen car comes into the city, every officer gets an alert that the stolen car is in the city and where it's at. Recently, we had a bank robber come into the city. We were able to find where that bank robber was. The chase ensued, and that person was Subsequently, there's a shooting there, but both essentially taken into custody at that point because of the flock system. We knew where that person was. So if there's a missing person, we're able to put that license plate to that vehicle that they're last seen driving. We'll put it in the system. If we get a hit, then we'll be able to find where they're at. But the bonus here is other agencies throughout the state of Florida are using this system. So if someone is missing, they're getting those same hits and those same notifications. So really, it's a force multiplier, is what I like to call it. And we're being more efficient with our resources. We don't need as many people because we're leveraging technology. Okay, more open source intelligence. Like I said, those crime analysts that the city manager gave me, which is, hello, Marlon Brown, those crime analysts, when we have an active case and it's hot and it's running, they are checking all of these databases. Has anybody heard of TweetDeck? I didn't make that up. That's a real thing, okay? You can go in there publicly and start looking at tweets and see if there's certain keywords like kill, suicide, hostage, and see if it's linked towards anything in the city. Same thing with SnapMap. I didn't make that one up either. I usually say Snapface. But the same thing with SnapMap. We're able to go in there and see where people are at when they're giving out their Snapchats. We can actually locate them because that's part of their system. They'll show them on a map where they're at. Again, we're leveraging open sources that some of these people forget are active. And then first two, it's called first two because you want to get to that scene within the first 2 minutes. And this is, again, public records information on an interactive map. Again, people are putting out information for us. We're able to take our mouse. We're able to imagine a Google map. You're able to hover over someone's home, and I can hover over that home and tell you who lives there, who's been arrested out of there, who's paying the electric bill out of there. So for us, it gives us a lot of information so we can make better decisions. So we've had 2 recent major cases in the Real-Time Operations Center. I think everybody's going to remember this one. This was that case that just occurred where we had the vehicle hit and run on 301, okay? We didn't really have a lot of information on that case whatsoever. So it happened at 8:30 p.m., family of 5 was crossing North Washington Boulevard. Car was traveling southbound on 301 and hit 3 family members. And the mom to this day is in critical condition. The vehicle left the scene. The only photo we had from that scene was that. That's all we had. Can you see that? It's just a white Lexus. That's all we had. So the analysts were to determine, they were able to determine the make and the model of the vehicle. So we were able to determine it was between a 2013 and 2018. So we went from this to this. And why? Because we reached out to the county and said, we need all license plates of Lexuses white in color between 2013 and 2018. They gave us 550 vehicles, okay? We took those 550 vehicles and we essentially data dumped it into our license plate reader system, our LPRs, and we said, hey, in this geofenced area near where this crash occurred, out of these 550 vehicles, which ones were active between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. So we went from 550 vehicles to 50 vehicles. And then the detectives did the rest. They were able then to find the vehicle. The vehicle was positively ID'd, the driver was ID'd, the driver was arrested and charged for leaving the scene with the crash, and leaving the scene with the crash with fatality and injury. All of this out of the Real-Time Operations Center that Marlon was very gracious enough to let me move forward with. And I thank you very much for that. Here's a second case. This is a road rage incident, which we see a lot of, right? We see a lot of it today. I mean, I'm sure everybody in here has experienced a road rage incident. So on February 25th this year, Osprey and 4th Street, we had a shooting. It wasn't just, hey, they gave me the one finger salute. It was, they actually shot at me and we're like, seriously? Someone really shot at you? And it's hard to believe sometimes, right? Not everybody tells us the truth. So we have to investigate it. So at 9:50 a.m., can you imagine that? 9:50, 2 vehicles engaged in a road rage incident at Fruitville. We're able to pull video from a homeowner's house or surveillance, and we're actually able to see the cars pass by, and we actually hear the shots fired. And we're going to show you that video. Give it a second. There's a victim, there's a bad guy. They did not hit garbage cans. Those were 2 shots fired that hit the car. So, we went from this, which is all we had. We saw the car driving by, so we take a snapshot photo of that. You know, of course, we're all trying to angle this way, right? Get that license plate. Can't do it. So the analysts, again, make, model, approximate year of the vehicle, just like I told you with the Lexus, right? They're able to determine these things, get an approximate year, and we go from that, bingo, to that. And again, how are we able to do that? Because we did a data dump into the LPR, the license plate reader system. We were able to geofence it, and we were able to come back with this vehicle in the area right before and right after that shooting. These wouldn't have been solved before. So, we identified the vehicle, the driver was ID'd, the driver confessed to the whole thing, which is actually refreshing in a way, and he was charged with aggravated assault. As soon as they ID'd him, they said his shoulders went down, and any parent in the room knows when the shoulders go down, you're going to get your confession, and they did. So now that person's off the street. So, we talked about the mobile command center, we talked about the real-time operations center, and now we're going to start talking about first responder drones. So imagine living in a world where you call the police, and maybe the police are tied up, maybe boots on the ground are busy somewhere else, and you get a knock at your door, and you open it, and it's a drone at your door. Can you imagine that world? Because you should, because it's coming. It's here. The drone can go to a call for service, they can talk through the drone, make sure everything's okay, what's your status, is that issue still occurring, not occurring? No, I'm fine, okay, drone boom, goes back into service, next call. That drone could then be sent autonomously to another call for service to assist officers on a subject that may have fled from a car into the woods. And again, drone goes over there autonomously, person runs in woods, they turn on FLIR, which is heat signature. They can see that person, drone comes down, drone talks person out of the woods, hands up, and officers are then able to make contact in a safer approach. That world was here right now, and that's what we're going to be pushing for as we move forward, because it's going to make the city of Sarasota even safer. Okay? Teaser. We have a commission meeting coming up here on Monday. In 2023, our Part 1 crimes dropped 16.2%. That was the largest drop in recorded SP history. 2024 is a bigger drop. So that's your teaser alert. You got to go to the commission meeting and find out. You know, we're trying to get that room set up, the vibe and the energy. So I just want to let you know that when it comes to policing and technology and collaboration and working with people, we're doing it. We're doing it. You know, there's a term, faster alone but further together. We always say at the agency. Could we do some things faster alone? 100%. But are we going to get further? No, we're not. Because we're going to end up where we were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where we're just looking around, there's nobody else there to partner with us because we decided we could do it faster alone. So we're all about partnership and collaboration. We're about leveraging technology and ensuring that the city of Sarasota is safe. So that concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm sure there's AI behind some of the systems that you are analyzing, helping to sort the data.
Yes, sir.
When will you be having AI actually working with the analysts, putting all this stuff together instead of they're having to observe all these things?
Probably in about 2 months. So remember when I said that this system, the rock isn't even open yet. They're still training and learning, and they're trying to help control out. So this week we received the software. So now AI will be partnering with the crime analysts in the center. The company that we use called Flock will then send out their team to all the businesses in the area, and they will give them something the size of a cell phone, just like this. It's just like this, like a hard drive, right? It's just like a hard drive. They will then ask them to connect into this hard drive. It will then give the real-time operations center full access to the interior cameras and the exterior cameras. AI is another, with that Flock, the Raven system that we're talking about too, the shot spotter. Once that shot has been fired, AI will tell the analysts where they think that bad person is based on the time lapse, and tell the analysts which cameras to start clicking on in order to find that person. Mind blowing. Good question. Yes, ma'am. Ladies first. Oh, 3?
Just the facts.
Okay.
Remind me of what the funding
For which one?
Well,
The Mobile Command Center was the ARPA money. ARPA was that American Rescue Plan Act.
oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with this LPR.
License plate reader. That's 2. That's okay.
And then in the road rage incident, you showed which is information you got from the homeowner's camera. How did you get the sound of the bullets fired?
Through their camera system.
Oh, so it's
Yeah, if you have a ringer, if you have a ringer camera, it'll pick up sound. So when y'all are walking by your neighbor's house and you're talking smack about the way their front yard looks, be careful, because they can hear you. My wife and I walk around our neighborhood in the morning, and she'll say, I'm like, babe, cover your mouth. Cover your mouth. Cover your mouth. John, we did not say anything, John. We love your yard. But no, we're able to do that. And to add to that, part of this program is we will also be interacting with neighborhoods and homes to find out if they want to sign up to be in our system, so that we can access that automatically if something were to happen. Thank you. Yes, sir. I'll get you next.
So I'm okay with using data mining for all public information because it's out there.
It is.
But what about facial recognition, where you look at someone's face? This is what China is. You can't walk down the street in China without them knowing who you are, where you're going. I mean, there's a point here we've gone too far with personal privacy. What's your opinion?
So I agree. And what I love about government is where there's so many rules put on us as government. There really is. There's legislation, there's rules put on us on what we can use it, how long we can hold it for, when we had to get rid of it. It's the commercial end of it I'm more fearful of, because they can use it, manipulate it, make money off of it, sell your image, do whatever they want with it, and we're essentially using it for public safety. Now, remember, we don't care what you buy at Publix, right? No one's following anybody here, right? We're only going after that information generally after a crime has been done, committed. That's when we start looking for that data. Otherwise, those things are generally being overridden within 30 days. But again, my concern is not so much the government end of it, because we do have a lot of rules and stipulations. It's more so the commercial end on what they're doing with all our information. That's what really is concerning to me.
What they do is, you're walking down the street, they see your face, they can connect the dots and go, oh, that's so-and-so.
Right.
Right? And, I mean, obviously, we're on camera all the time.
All the time. We're here.
Right, but on the other hand, is there, they have the government go to the place of recognizing that person is so-and-so, and now they live here, and this is their cars,
No.
and this is the taxes they pay.
The only time the city of Sarasota will do that, the police department, is if you've committed a crime. And I'm sure if somebody was the victim of an aggravated assault, a shooting, a family member was the victim of a homicide, you would definitely want us moving hell and high water to find out who committed that crime. And if we can leverage that type of technology, we will. Now, if we abuse it, it should be taken away from us, 100%. Ma'am.
You mentioned that you'll be giving that card reader to businesses, etc., and homes. What about condominium associations? How do we?
Same thing. We've been in talks with David Lough, and we'll be working that out. Yes, ma'am.
The second question, of course, was the security at your end. How do we keep our state secure?
Yes, ma'am. So trust me, all of our people are background checked, polygraphed, drug tested. The safest building in this city, if you want your secrets kept, is really at our police department. I mean, those people are highly professional. And Marlon knows, you literally have to fob into every room, to every floor. If you want to get somewhere on the elevator, if I forget my fob, I'm in trouble. I'm like trying to flag somebody down just to get into my own office. That's how secure, and that's how we approach everything in what we do. So I hope you feel secure with us. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
A couple of things. I was wondering, how many of the drones do you have? Is it 100 of them, or what do you?
I wish we had 100 drones. So we have. I'm taking a guess because the SWAT guys like to purchase drones when I'm not looking, right? But between SWAT and our drone unit, we probably in our drone world probably have between 25 and 30 drones, and we're talking about some mini drones and then some larger capacity drones. And we're talking mini drones that can fit in someone's trunk. Right? They do a traffic stop. It's a felony traffic stop. Boom, drone is going, like I said, flying over the hood, making sure everything's safe. And then we have some bigger drones that we use. When we do a search warrant, everybody is in the game. I mean, we open up, the Real-Time Operations Center is open specifically for this. We send a drone that goes over the house that we're gonna do the search warrant at. It's called Overwatch. We then tap into all the body-worn cameras. We have cameras on the vehicles that we're using, and then we're sending drones in with cameras. And then I'm trying to get a Boston Dynamics dog. Does anybody know what a Boston Dynamics dog is? So it's basically a robot dog that looks pretty scary. But that dog can go upstairs. That dog can open doorknobs. That dog can be kicked, pushed, and it'll get right back up. And if we can use technology, if we can use a robot to keep an officer from being killed in the line of duty, to me that's worth it. And that dog can also feed video information into our real-time operations center. We're able actually to talk through the dog as well. So, but yeah, about 25-30.
And just one other thing, I'm so curious about this thing where you said you could have a drone knocking on the door or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that to me sounds, especially when an officer goes up to a car
Right.
and doesn't know what he's up against. I mean, that seems to be like an ideal spot to, and you said that the drone does, are you starting to do more of that? The drones
Yes.
fly by?
Yes, the drone can fly through the car, over the car, and I've been at their training, and it's pretty intimidating when this drone is literally staring at you through your windshield. It is. And recently, we had a man who was trying to commit suicide. He was sitting in his pickup truck in his driveway, and he had we weren't sure if he had a rifle or not. So anybody who knows anything about shooting, if you have a rifle, an AR-15, even if you're a terrible shot, you can hit something at about 100 yards, no problem. So we didn't approach the car. We set up a QRF, a quick response force, behind his house. We send in the drone, and we were able to send in the drone, confirm that he had a firearm, and then we were able to talk with him from a distance. Now at that point, I was like, why couldn't we talk through the drone? And they said, well, we don't have that capability. And I said, we're getting that capability because I don't want to put officers in harm's way if we can avoid it. So yes, the technology is amazing. Yes, sir.
So I don't think anyone would object to public safety benefits that you described, particularly about for ALPRs, automatic license plate readers. But to this gentleman's response and yours as well, we are moving towards a surveillance state. And while I accept that you have limitations by law and practice, I'm concerned about your vendors. Flock, for example, uses Motorola cameras that were in fact hacked. There's a open source group called DFlock that's publishing the locations of flock cameras, right? Because a commercial vendor has an incentive to produce the product as cheaply as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it falls on you to be the steward of all this data you're collecting, right?
100%.
And if I remember in Florida, the limit on keeping the license plate is 7 days, something like that?
No, I believe it's 30 days.
30 days.
Yes.
Contrast that with New Hampshire, where if you can't use it, you have to purge it in 3 minutes,
Right.
right? So somewhere between where New Hampshire is and 30 days, this data that you're holding becomes vulnerable.
Correct.
Right? And so your job is policing, public safety, and all the other duties you have. It's not IT. But you're collecting massive amounts of data that are dangerous and can be shared. So I think the only thing I want to say to you is that the commercial, you mentioned commercial, this stuff is COTS, commercial off-the-shelf supplies, right? The military likes to buy. But it's problematic because the vendors don't have the kinds of regulations and requirements that you do. They build it cheaply, bad, and insecure. Flock shares our data. The fact that you can get it from the county or you can get it from, DeSoto County or somewhere else is because it's shared through Flock. So it's not just what emerging.
Sure.
My question is about how you monitor and maintain the safety of this data that you're collecting and that you can data mine, right?
Sure.
Because do you have a disposal policy? Do you throw it away after a certain amount of time?
After 30 days, yes, sir.
After 30 days. So it's a complicated question.
Sure.
I just want to tell you that there's a trade-off that we all make
100%.
for the increased capabilities you have with this data.
Yeah.
Right?
So
and it's not just you who's responsible for it, right?
I agree with you, but I'd also say, to your point, this is the world that we're in right now, and as we talk right now on your YouTube later on, you'll probably see things about flock cameras, because they're always listening, right? When Snowden came out and said, hey, they're always listening, put your stuff in the microwave, did anybody really care? No one cared. Nobody cared. They kept using their phones. They kept doing everything. Nobody put their phone in a microwave. When it comes to data information, data mining, Bank of America, how many times have they been paid? I mean, so our information is out there. My father's 89 years old. He won't even use a phone, right? But he can't survive in this world without it, so I have to create an email address for him. So we need to be responsible, and we need to check our own information, right? Rex Trochet needs to keep on top of my credit score and what's going on out there. Everybody has to do that. That's the world that we're in. It's here. Orwellian, it's here. If you pass by a school bus now, they have cameras on the side of the school bus. You are getting a ticket for passing by that school bus. It's here. So yes, I'm with you 100%. Yes, as long as it's under me, I will do my absolute best to keep it. But what was it, 3 minutes in what state?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Well, we've been able to go back a week, 10 days, 15 days and solve homicides because that information's been available. And if it would have been 3 minutes, we wouldn't have been able to solve those homicides. 2 years ago, we had 6 homicides in 8 weeks. The majority of those homicides, they were not solved with eyewitness information. They were not solved with people coming forward and giving us information. They were solved by LPR.
May I have a one-sentence rebuttal? I'll send you, sir, a California report from 2023 that shows clearance rates are not increased by retention of ALPR data.
I can tell you locally that they have been within our agency, sir. Listen, we can agree to disagree on it, but we're here. We're here because if we don't do it, Manatee County's doing it, Sarasota County's doing it, Northport's doing it. We hit real quick, and I just want to say this one too. We had a homicide a few months ago. We had 0 information on this homicide. We were able to use our LPRs to locate this person who is driving across the state of Florida. Why? Because we were hitting on all the LPRs that all the other sheriff's office and municipalities had set up. We were then able to determine that this person was sitting out of an apartment complex. We then sent Miami PD there. They waited on the subject and they had him in custody in less than 16 hours for committing murder. So it is give and take. It is, and I understand that, and I can respect that.
Maybe we have 2 more because we're running into time.
Like on the other end of this, we live on Golden Gate Point and we recently installed cameras. If we were to want to look into it as a board, our cameras connecting into your system, where do I find this information?
We'll get with you after. We'll have Danny get with you and we can get you that information.
Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Who's my last?
LP.
I have a big pause. A few days ago, there was a like over the Railway Bridge. It was not a star. It sat there for a while. It was not a star, and it didn't really move like a drone. You know what that was? You know how high the drones can go?
So we have to keep our drones very low right now because of the airport. So if I don't know what that would have been, and it could have been a private drone. So here's some of the challenges we have with private drones is we can't get them down. We're trying to figure out the technology to jam them so that we can get these down, but we're not the only ones having this issue. The thugs are having this issue as well. So this is new technology, hopefully, moving forward, but I hope it's not the drones from New Jersey. We're in trouble. All right, on that note, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That was fantastic. Now we move into part of the program that I like least. We have our annual members meeting where I become a parliamentarian of sorts. So what I would like to do, and bear with me on this, call to order our annual members meeting. And I'm confirming that we have a quorum that is being recorded. One thing to do is to accept the minutes from last year's meeting, which were circulated. Is there a motion to accept those minutes? So moved by, who was that? Peter. Oh, Peter Fanning. And is there a second? Roger Berry. So thank you very much. Election of board members. We had proxies received from 18 of our 33 paid members sustaining the board as nominated. Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, the slate of directors are Jamie Still, Clark Lauren, Judy Moore, Patrick Gannon, Patrick McNaney, Peter Blanton, Ken Sheehan, Bob Firth, and yours truly. So hearing no corrections, that slate is elected. Moving, unless there are any other points that Peter, anything? No? We're good?
I didn't hear you read my name.
Oh! Okay. And Peter Fanning. I apologize. And Roger, as you know, unfortunately, thank you for your years of service, but is moving outside of the DSCA neighborhood. You are more than welcome. We thank you for your board service. According to the bylaws, are no longer eligible to be a formal board member. Okay. Moving along then, we have a president's report. Patrick, do you have that for me? Just a couple quick updates on what we've been doing, your board has been doing. Recap, where DSCA is about 2 square miles, 13,000 people. 60% of the city's growth over the last 5 years has been in our area. We're about 21% of the city's total population now. New construction-wise, there's 900 to 1,000 new buildings under construction as we speak, with another 1,000 to 1,500 planned. By roughly the next 7 years, we're going to be over 16,000 people and account for up to 25% of the city's total population. Next, there's a map of DSCA. You can see it's kind of gerrymandered around, but it turns out it's about less than 2 square miles. Next, I counted, we've got 122 restaurants inside of DSCA now, and I think somebody counted A few years ago it was 84. So around 122, and I think that's a pretty solid number. In the last year, we've got one new park, a significant enhancement to the Bayfront Park, and we all know what's happened at the Bay. Next. As far as initiatives we've been working on, and with some degree of success, Boulevard of the Arts, you may have heard that funding for that project came in the form of a grant, and we hope construction there will start in the next year and a half. So Boulevard of the Arts and 10th. Main Street, planning for that as a complete street is underway, and we will follow the Boulevard of the Arts. And the other thing that we've been advocating for is to put Fruitville, looking at Fruitville as an improved street on the radar screen again. We see that as a major economic opportunity, not to speak of beautification. So that's something your board has been working on. Next, mobility options. One of the things that we've also been advocating for is, as we get more dense, what kind of mobility options are there other than our vehicles and walking? We've been working with the city to see what kind of possibilities might be there. Next, better development projects. We have a zoning committee. We are active in being at meetings where new projects are developed. Truth is, we're not happy with all of that, but I can tell you we are engaged. Our zoning, thank you, Patrick, Peter, and so forth. We think we're responsible for getting some community workshops that may not have otherwise occurred. We opposed the 1260 North Palm project, the Obsidian project, and we helped get deeper setbacks from the street on other areas. We are actively involved, and we personally attend a lot of these meetings and stay informed. Next, green space initiatives. Again, I mentioned the Bay Park, where we provided input, and the Rosemary, the new Overtown Square. Next, this is what Overtown Square looked like 4 years ago. This is what the next slide, that's what it looks like today. Next, another initiative. We have a Arts and Cultural Committee, thank you, Ken Sheelan, where we were advocating for a positive path forward with the new Performing Arts Center and consideration of the Van Wezel. We're following it actively. In fact, I think there's a meeting going on as we speak. We candle-arranged backstage tours of the Van Wezel to better familiarize our people with what the conditions are really like firsthand. Next. We are very active in trying to engage with the city on their budgets. We were responsible for getting the city to hold its first ever budget town hall meeting last year, thanks to Marlon at the time, and that kind of town hall is going to occur this year, where the residents have an opportunity to put it into the budget. Next, another initiative is health and safety, sound. We have advocated for better sound regulations in ordinances, and that some of that is moving ahead. Thank you, Peter Fanning, for his work in the homeless area, where we've advocated for solutions there. We hosted a workshop on that, which I think we had 120 people at that work. Peter put together a wonderful program. Next, noise, I mentioned the city is now committed to a plainly audible standard, and even though it's taking way too long to move this forward, we hope that some kind of better ordinances are in the works. There's also a revised special events ordinance. Next. Education and outreach. We have guest speakers at our board meetings every month. We think those are very high profile and topical people. We host workshops in town halls such as this throughout the year. And I think people would know we spend a lot of time at City Hall. So we have a really good working relationship with both the city staff and the commissioners. Another thing we've been advocating for is more meaningful neighborhood input into processes and development processes. And I'm happy to say the city is moving ahead with a committee to look at what's called the Development Review Committee process, and DSCA is going to have a representative on that committee of 9. Next. Downtown Master Plan, another initiative that has now been kicked off. 13 members, there are 2 members of the DSCA board, Ken and Jamie Still, who are on that. This is going to be an update to the approximately 20-year-old master plan where DSCA is going to be ably represented. Next. Economic enhancements. We are trying to look at many of our initiatives through the lens of economic benefits, streetscapes, green space, data. We've got data to support advocacy and new businesses. The idea of 15-minute city. And Marlon will probably roll his eyes, but he knows I've recently tried to reach out to get us a downtown pharmacy. So we're trying to advocate for businesses that provide both quality of life benefits, but also economic benefits. Next. So closing comments, I want to thank everybody. Yeah, I would say we have challenges as a city, but I think we're doing reasonably well. Many good things are happening in the direction of the Performing Arts Center. Hopefully moving ahead next week, streetscapes and more. And I will tell you this, that at City Hall, they know who DSCA, they know Ken, they know Peter. We can get phone calls, oftentimes in return. Next. And so I think what we're trying to do as your neighborhood association is listen to you. We know that sound is important, traffic, poor development, safety, pedestrian experiences, arts and cultural, and the need for meaningful input. So we hear you, and we are trying to be sensitive to that in our work. And finally, are there comments and questions, input on areas that maybe we could do a better job or that we're missing? Yes, Ruth.
Yes, hi. I was introduced to DSCA when I first joined the board and board rep on and now president of the board there. And I was introduced to DSCA through the survey that we do, which looks at all the condos in the area and looks at expenses of budgets and stuff like that, which was phenomenally useful, and I do hope that you are doing it again. But perhaps that led to a misunderstanding on my part of what DSCA is. It seems to me that in the name there's the downtown Sarasota, and that's what we've been dealing with. And then there's the Condo Association. I'm sure anyone who's on the board of a condo at the moment knows how difficult it is to get board members, the issues we're dealing with, particularly after the Champagne Towers collapse, budgeting issues, staffing issues, so many legislative issues. We're going through a nightmare, and not surprisingly, people don't want to be on board. I was hoping that DSCA, as well as doing the downtown Sarasota part, would also do the Condo Association part. We don't have a forum. We don't have, at Lunch and Learn we talk to other people, but we don't have a forum where board members or presidents of boards or people like me can get together and say, how are you dealing with this? How are you trying to get board members? How are you budgeting for insurance increases? And we desperately need that because it's not getting easier to be on board. It's getting more difficult every day.
Okay, so the first part of your comment was about a survey, and we did one 2 years ago, and I'm remiss in not having mentioned that we want to do that again this summer. So that was a survey of our members, and we see value in that, and I know Bob is interested in playing a lead role. This idea of a forum, I think our board member Gene Moore has suggested for facilitating communications between the board members, and we'll try. Let's see what kind of participation we can get. So I think that's a good suggestion. And a question, Lester.
I've heard some things about the amount of that our taxes will increase because of the arts and the development there. Have you all studied that, and do you take any kind of a view as to how much our taxes should go up to support that art?
The Performing Arts Center?
Yeah.
I would say we have not looked at that in detail. I know that's coming before the commission on Monday, where others way more familiar with that. I believe there is a big revenue stream fund called tax increment financing, which is very substantial, and would fund the majority of this along with philanthropy. So from what I know, I think the numbers are shown to kind of pencil out, and I personally don't see, but I don't want to represent for the DSCA board because it's something we don't do a detailed analysis. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to answer that. I don't understand it absolutely, but Vice Mayor David Troyes had come to speak at the Alnari building last week, and this was obviously a question we put to her, how about our property taxes, will they increase? So she gave us an understanding that our property taxes will not increase. Yes, we will be funding this area, I don't know what exactly, definitely the Rosemary District will be funding it, but it will not increase our taxes vis-a-vis other districts. It's just that the part of our funds, our taxes, would go to that. So it's something called TIF, it's the Tax Increase Funding. It is with that premise that because of the development, the property prices will go up, and therefore our taxes will go up, and a portion of that will be used for so it will not necessarily be something terribly scary. Yes, indeed, somebody has to pay eventually.
Thank you for the statement. Are there any other questions or input? Yes, sir.
So I'm glad Mr. Brown is here, because I think the most dangerous intersection we have in the city of Sarasota is Boulevard Yards and Tammy Avenue. I live in the Boulevard. I take my life in my own hands every time I cross that street. I know you're not in anyway, but you could probably have advice on where you get started. I know that the city has tried various things. They put up yield to pedestrians. They changed the timing of it. People who live in the manways, they don't want to wait for anybody. Right? I almost got run over last night again. So I don't know if it's speed cameras there, or if it's red light cameras, because of course they come off the circle here. And if the light's green, it's like Indianapolis Raceway. And they go flying down, and if we had a speed camera, at least they get tickets. But they go too fast, and they don't. And I know there's the whole history about they can't do the race, and the intersection has nothing to do with so it's a problem, and I just want to know where to get started with the city to get some action, because it is a public safety issue.
Gotcha. And I would say DSCA and your board, both east and west of 41, recognize it as a significant issue that we are trying.
I didn't see it on your list.
Because I forgot. That's my
I mean, as we continue to get more and more people using the bay and the new Performing Arts Center, someone's going to die there. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, okay. All right, ma'am. Alex, do you have a question?
No, I just want to address this gentleman's input real quick. The Complete Streets project that's been funded for BOTA, they're traffic calming. They're discussing traffic calming, so if you want to know where to get involved with the city to do it, that's the place.
Okay.
That's
I know a lot about this, and it's complicated.
I know.
It's about money. So we're working on it and trying to get FDOT's participation, MDO, and the city combined to see this as a significant and dangerous, very dangerous situation. So we're here. Yes, Patrick.
I would like to raise two comments. One, for those of you, since we're here at the Garden Club, and you walk out of here and you look at the Boulevard of the Arts, every tree in the right-of-way west of Van Wezel Way will be gone on the median and the south side. Royal palms that were planted 3 years ago to mirror what's on the south side will remain. But the city is going to remove all of the 50, 60-foot tall royal palms. 16 of them as part of the Hyatt project, and then the others in the Beau Ciel will be going someday. And the median will be narrowed, and therefore all of the large oak trees and canopy trees in the median will be removed. We've told that maybe Jerry Fogel has a place for them in some park somewhere, but not here. So Boulevard of the Arts will experience an 80% reduction in its canopy and tree coverage. And maybe in 30 years, the new trees, new palms, they're only planting palms along the median and the center. So that is the plan, unless our city commission on Monday or in following weeks tells the city staff to revise its streetscape plan. Please write to the city. Okay. Second is...
question.
Yes. Well, a question. Okay. So this is right now being raised by the residents of Condo on the Bay. However, DSCA, through its should have a green space committee, should be able to articulate that, but we need somebody to lead green space. Please.
Couldn't agree more.
So,
okay. Yes, sir.
This kind of confirms, if it materializes, what I have perceived for the last several years, that the city does not care too much about urban planning and cares a lot about revenue. It was stated like that by one of the commissioners several years ago, but it's good for revenue operating by administrative approval, which means the trees come out, the sidewalks get narrower, and it's going to be less to live in.
Okay, what I can say is the downtown Sarasota master plan, I hope, is going to help take a more comprehensive look at the planning and the zoning and how this all fits together. DSCA cannot address all of your concerns, sir, but I will say those of you in the room who know me know what DSCA is trying to advocate for in terms of complete street programs, trees, street plans, responsible development, and with working zone.
I don't blame the DSCA. I blame the commissioners as a group, and some in particular, but I'm not going to mention.
Okay, just one more question or comment. Otherwise, let's move into adjourning this members meeting a motion to adjourn. Is that what, Patrick, procedurally to adjourn?
Declare it adjourned.
Members adjourn the members meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, from Patrick. And so the meeting is adjourned. Now, this is a call to order. My existing president, David Lough, welcome to the new members. And this is time for election of officers for the next year. Are there any nominations?
I nominate David Lough as president.
Any discussion?
You're sentenced again.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Vice President, nominations for Vice President. Are there any nominations for Jamie?
Can't you just nominate the slate that was?
Okay, I would nominate, may I nominate Jamie as our Vice President and Judy Moore as our continuing Secretary.
Clark Lauren as treasurer.
And Clark Lauren is treasurer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have, so we can adjourn the organizing the meeting. Are there any other matters of business before the one? So hearing none, we're adjourned, and we're going to have a guitarist join us shortly, but thanks everybody for coming and for your participation, and I think there's some good discussion. I think the chief did a great job, so thank you.